I think it's going to happen today. Who wore it best, number 3? We're going to get to it. A block. I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping. Sicko Satchel also. Bill Simmons quote on Kon Knueppel, and a really interesting take there from the Ringer CEO. We'll get to all of that coming up next. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. There is Doug Branson. He is the curator of everyhornetsboxscore.com, and you can also find him producing Yahoo Sports Daily with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fitton. I'm Walker Mail. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Do I even say it? Am I going to be Charlie Brown kicking the football, falling flat on my back, while you, Lucy, pulls said football away from me, and then I just get rolled away in a full body cast because I've been hurt too much, Doug. It hurts. I don't want to go for the cookie and get electrocuted again. I don't want any of that. Just tell me. Just be upfront with me. Are we going to decide who wore it best, the number 3 jersey?
When you give Walker a cookie, he's going to want a glass of who wore it best, number 3. That's right. I'm finally ready to end Walker Mail's suffering. He's going to cry.
I'm crying because I've been in pain for so long. I finally got out of the well. Okay, there's your imagery. I'm a little afraid that you're going to do something here again, but just until you lay out the players that wore the number 3 jersey, until we actually get to it, I won't believe you. So the sooner we start, the better. What you got, Doug?
Okay, well, I got to pull it up. That's number 1.
Of
number
course.
2,
Make me wait a
number
little longer.
3, I should say. Yeah. We start at the start, at the very start, at the inaugural year.
Okay, we're doing it.
The Charlotte Hornets.
All right.
1989, first draft pick in Charlotte Hornets history. Sexy Rexy Chapman, 1989 to 1992. Then you move to Hersey Hawkins for one season in 1995. Khalid Reeves in 1996. Don't know if you have any Khalid Reeves nuggets, but I'd love to hear them if you do.
Okay.
Eldridge Rakasner. By the way, speaking of nuggets, I meant to get to a Melvin Eli nugget in the last episode when we did number 2. That's right, we did number 2 before number 3 because we needed to talk about Larry Johnson, and we had David Walker on, and he was an expert on Larry Johnson. But I had a Melvin Eli nugget, the great number 2 for the Charlotte Bobcats.
And you're a Melvin Eli expert, and so this makes perfect sense.
I try to be. I don't know if I can proclaim that, but I try to be. All the nugget is to go on YouTube, and I will try my best to remember to put the link in the show notes. Sometimes I forget. But go to YouTube and search for the 1997 McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest in which Melvin Eli was a participant. It's the weirdest 3 dunks that I've ever seen in my life. And McDonald's All-American, like it's a high-profile thing. It's not like a high school dunk competition, like you would think they would think about it. I'll spoil it. I'll just spoil it. Walker, 2 of the dunks involved, and I don't believe he was the first to do this. I believe this was popularized years before he did it. But he started with a shooting shirt on, and he pulled the shooting shirt over his head. So he kind of gave himself,
a little blind man's Bluffy like Baron Davis, except connected. But I think the announcers were teasing him because they thought he could see through the shooting shirt, much like we confirmed that Baron Davis could definitely, because he cut eye holes in the headband. But so he pulled his shooting shirt over and then easily dunked it. Okay, it wasn't even like a super fancy dunk. All right, okay, cool. That's a little gimmicky. I like it. Yeah, I'm sure.
We move on to the final dunk of the affair, because I think the first dunk was like a nothing dunk. It was a very, and even the announcers were like, all right, okay, that's athleticism, not a very complicated dunk. Okay.
Sure.
So he goes to the blind man thing. All right. So he takes off his shooting shirt. He's like, all right, he's going to get serious now, folks. What's he got in store? It's a final dunk. He's got to do something crazy, right? He pulls the jersey over his head in the exact same way that he did the shooting shirt, and he did the exact same dunk. And the announcers just had no idea even what to say. They were like, well, I guess he's not going to get points for creativity.
The third dunk is when it really gets special. What he does is he takes his pants off and puts it over his head. It was crazy.
Done that to begin with.
Now
Tens all around.
Yeah, that would be a little more creative. So shout out to Melvin Ely. What a wild mix of dunks that he gave us, and what also a little bit of a wild player. Melvin Ely. How about just being a massive kind of like girthy dude, and just shooting a cool under 40% from very close to the basket a couple of times here in Charlotte Hornets land. Also had a great hairdo. Melvin Ely was a character, to say the least. Fresno State's finest. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, now I'm pulling up this dunk contest again. Unfortunately, because we took that Melvin Ely detour and you talked for so long, I don't know that we're going to have time to finish this number. I'm kidding.
I will bulldoze through this segment. I'm
kidding. Let's get back to it. Eldridge Rakasner. I don't know if you have any nuggets on Eldridge Rakasner, but I would love to hear them. 1999 to 2002. And then we fast forward 3 long years when the Hornets had moved to New Orleans. They were in the desert. And then Charlotte was in the desert, the NBA desert. And then they get a team again, the Charlotte Bobcats. And that Bobcats team adds Gerald Wallace from 2005 to 2011. And then Jeremy Lamb, a long time. 3 jerseys kind of popular from 2011 to 2016. Yeah. No number 3 jersey. That's odd. Jeremy Lamb, 2016 to 2019. Terry Rozier. Scary Terry. Scary if you're trying to plan a betting night. 2020 to 2024. Marquez Bolden in 2024. And Daquan Jeffries, the most recent wearer of the number 3 jersey in 2025. And to the present, as far as we know, he hasn't been cut yet.
Yeah. So we broached this subject, God, seems like a year ago now. And when we did, you had said before you might go Terry Rozier instead of Gerald Wallace, to which that did happen. That happened. We even talked about how that happened, and then you confirmed that happened on air. Don't play with me. So we talked about it, and I was ready to go on like I understand the zigging while everyone zags. This is not the time to zig. But then you even talked about it when we broached the subject. Nah, I did more research. It's clearly Gerald Wallace. That's the whole process.
Well,
and it is clearly it's clearly Crash, who is the classic most underrated Bobcat / Hornet of all time. But everybody says it, so it's one of those things where he's actually not underrated and everybody understands. He's just an awesome player that gave his all here in the Queen City and has a bunch of fun little facts about him. I'll let you go first on some of your stuff about why Gerald Wallace wore it best.
Well, I was a little bit of a victim of recency bias. Also, I did love Terry Rozier while I was here. I thought, he was a fantastically talented player who had every reason, particularly in the early years, to just be like, all right, I'm traded to this team that's kind of going nowhere. I'm not going to do it. And instead, he put on a show for people night in and night out, at least most of the time, allegedly, as far as we know. I like Terry a lot.
Yeah.
So, and he scored a lot of points. And so, on bad teams. And I thought, maybe, but then once I looked at Gerald Wallace, I mean, he's the leader in so many of these categories.
Yeah. If we want to spend some time just a little bit on Terry, I will say, I go back to Rick Bonnell's comments at the very beginning of Terry Rozier's career or tenure here in Charlotte. When Terry was traded, we heard so many things about how Terry was going to be somewhat of a malcontent. And not that he was going to be an outright cancer in the locker room, but that he was going to be an issue, that you would roll your eyes, that it'd be hard to cover, that teammates might not get along with him, that he wanted the basketball and he wanted to shoot it and he didn't want to do anything else. And that just was never really the case, ever. And Rick had heard those things from his maybe colleagues at other outlets or some of his acquaintances. And he was the first to say, after hearing some of that stuff, he had an assumption about how that experience and that interaction would go. And he was the first to say, Terry was nothing but pleasant in any interaction I ever had with him. And I think that's a great way to describe his tenure here, right? He was nothing but pleasant, man. Sure, he wasn't a perfect player. Defense there was a lot to be desired, but he was clutch. He kept the lights on post-Kemba.
Yeah,
and that was
totally.
a tough role to fill. Those were tough shoes to fill. And
helped make it watchable.
And actually played a lot of games while they were trying to figure out their bleep. And I respected the hell out of what Terry meant to this team for that stretch of time. So he can't be the guy that wore it best because of everything that Crash means to this team. But I did grow to respect a lot of what Terry Rozier was here.
A big what if that we'll probably never talk about again is what if Terry Rozier hadn't laid 2 big goose eggs in both of those play-in games, lifts the team to the playoffs. I think we view Terry Rozier, we view a lot of that stuff differently. If the team, and he was a big part of that, didn't just lay down in those play-in games. But it is Gerald Wallace because he is, I'm just going to run through here really quickly and then we can move on. He's 6th in games played, career for the Charlotte franchise. 4th in minutes played. He's 4th in field goals. He's 4th in field goal attempts. He's 4th in 2-point field goals. He is 5th in attempts, 3-point field goals. Now he's not gonna rank there because he wasn't a 3-point shooter. But just on and on. Rebounds, he's 3rd. Blocks, he's 4th. Turnovers, he's 3rd because he did a lot. Personal fouls, he's 2nd because he was handsy. Points, he's 3rd. He's 3rd points. It's Kemba, it's Dell, and then it's Crash. I mean, I'm breaking news to people. He was 2nd in steals. How many? I just went through the big 5 categories, and he's top 4 or 5 in all of them. It's crazy.
Yeah. I have other thoughts. I want to talk a little bit more. You can't give me 30 seconds. So we're going to talk about him in the next segment, and then we'll get to some Sicko Satchel stuff. Coming up next.
One of those thoughts better be that you underrated him in your top 35.
Oh, we'll get to it. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
We love you, Crash. And I'm going to profess my love to you in the next segment. Plus, we'll get to the Sicko Satchel question and the Bill Simmons comment coming up next. Before we get to those other topics, I did want to tell you a little more about Monarch Money. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, and then you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I like that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. One of my favorite, not just Gerald Wallace stats of all time, but one of my favorite stats in NBA history is that Gerald Wallace is one of 3 players ever to average 2 blocks and 2 steals in a single season. It's Hakeem Olajuwon who did it 5 times. It's just an unbelievable player. David Robinson did it once, and Gerald Wallace did it 1 time with the Charlotte Bobcats. You mentioned the point stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. He's one of the only players to do it. Played like 55 games the year that he was able to accomplish it. He's the only all-star in Charlotte Bobcats history. We have an All-NBA selection with Al Jefferson, which the nerds, and they're right, All-NBA means more in terms of how great you were that specific season. There's only 15 players that make it. It's a whole season award. So all NBA, yes, it does mean more. But with the pomp and circumstance of it all, with the celebrating basketball of it all, with your logo being represented during the All-Star break, where all eyes, even especially at that time, when all eyes are on the midpoint of the NBA season, and you get to be in the dunk contest, even if it wasn't a good showing. It was actually quite terrible. But you're in the dunk contest, and you get the jersey. I know I had to have it, man. Like, it's the only All-Star in Bobcats history. I had to go get the Gerald Wallace All-Star shirt. In fact, when I went to Time Warner Cable Arena at the time, I had to get the shirt. They only had a medium. I was 6'6" in high school. A medium wasn't going to fit me, but online shopping really wasn't a thing for me or my family back then. I got the medium, and I fit in it, and it was tight, but we still had to fit in it because I had to have that shirt. With all that being said, he's number 8 on my top 35 Charlotte Hornets of all time list. And here's why. Everybody has that exact reaction that Doug just gave me. And I understand. I
just read you the stats. Top 5, yep. Top 5, top 4, top 5.
He's the best player outside of everybody else's favorite players. And what I mean by that is Baron Davis is 7. Del Curry is 6. Glenn Rice is 5. Muggsy Bogues is 4. Alonzo Mourning 3. Larry Johnson 2. Kemba Walker 1. Like, you're talking about the All-Star appearances multiple. You're talking about the longest tenured players in Hornets history that are ahead of him. You're talking about guys that did go to did get to the playoffs and then win series. Like, he is the only player outside. He's the first player that you get to before you get to the best accomplishments that we have seen from anybody that has worn a Hornets uniform. So anyways, that's the whole Gerald Wallace spiel. He was listed by the Hornets as a top 10 player of all time as well. So yeah, man, Gerald Wallace, we love you around here.
All right.
Is that good? Okay, there you go.
I'm just going to declare that this show is going to be that kind of show. It's not a show that our bosses love, but it is September. It is the beginning of September, so I think they'll give us a break here. But this is the kind of show where I'm staring at Basketball Reference, the career leaders page, and I'm going to just take us on a couple of journeys here. And I think that the sickos, if you're a true sicko, you'll stick around for this journey. First journey is to usage percentage, where the leader in the clubhouse right now for usage percentage, career leader, LaMelo Ball at 30.2. Next high is Steven Jackson at 27.6. Then you get to Kemba Walker at 27.3. So LaMelo, 3 usage percentage points clear of the second most used player in Charlotte Hornets history. By the way, top 10, right at number 10, Brandon Miller at 25. He has the ball in his hands a lot.
Interesting. Is there any connection to Gerald Wallace whatsoever with that stat?
No, there isn't. There's even less of a connection to the next one that I'm going to give you, which is 3-point field goal percentage, because you won't find Gerald Wallace anywhere near this. But I just want to read you 10-1. I just want to go through this list, and I want you to marvel at the names. We're going to marvel at the names together, if that's okay.
What just happened? I just need to, did that whole spiel? Oh, I'm hoping everybody else was listening, because it's clear you weren't. All right.
I was. I took it all in. I just have nothing left to say on Gerald Wallace. I just unloaded my whole thing on his top 5, top 4s. Like, what do you want?
I'm ready for random stats. You shoot it, baby. What are your
Actually, I have a lot on Sexy Rexy that we can do in the next segment if you want, who I might be second best on. I haven't looked. What was the list?
Well, Terry, it's Terry or Rex.
Terry would be second. And then Rex Chapman's whole career was a little stretch. In 11 seasons, Rex Chapman, he spent 12 seasons in the league. In 11 of those 12 seasons, he was a double-digit scorer. But he was never a 20 points per game scorer. How crazy is that?
Crazy. Number 23 on my top 35 Hornets of all time list.
That's not a bad ranking. I mean, he was like, what if Adam Morrison had not gotten hurt and spent like 4 or 5 more years with the Bobcats, but not been a 20 point per game scorer, like scored 15 points per game? That would have been Rex Chapman. Like, it would have been like, all right, we expected way more from you. You couldn't give it to us. Now there were some other reasons for that with Rex, but anyway, back to what this show really is about, which is the list top 10 list of 3-point field goal percentage all time for the Charlotte Hornets, 10-1. Are you ready? I'll go through this quick.
Let's do it.
Number 10, get this, Del Curry, 40.5%. That's 10.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the name? If Del Curry, DC for 3, if he's 10, who could possibly be higher than that at 40.5%? Well, let's go. Jason Richardson, 41%. Yeah, what do you think about that?
That small sample is going to be the leader in the clubhouse the rest of the way.
Okay, how's this for small sample? Jason Capono, 41.2%, number 8.
That's a small sample. How many? I'm going to look up how many games all these next guys played.
I think he did do a couple of 3-point shooting contests in the All-Star weekend.
He won them.
None of them
play. He won.
He won it.
Yeah.
Not for the Bobcats though. It was with like the Heat,
Miami,
and the Miami. Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise known as the Heat. And number 7, Anthony Tolliver, tall over it, underrated. If we did a top 35 list of most underrated Hornets, I'd have him. I don't know I don't know. I don't know where I'd have him, but it'd be higher because I think he was a big. He was just a big 3-point factor on a team that didn't have a lot of shooting.
Jason Capono played 81 games for Charlotte in his career, and Anthony Tolliver played 64 games in his career for Charlotte total.
Anthony Goldwire, 41.8% at number 6. How about this? Number 5, Seth Curry, the Curry spawn, higher than the Curry father.
Yeah, crazy.
Number 4. Number 4, Walter Herman.
Yeah.
Walter Herman Fabio at 44%. He ended his career as a Bobcat with a 44% 3-point field goal percentage. Then you get to Glenn Rice at number 3 at 44%.
Crazy. Just a stupid 3 years. The best offensive stretch a Hornets player has ever had.
Okay, but he's only number 3. That means there's 2 names left. Number 2, Tony Delk, who I always say, like when I think of 90s Hornets for some weird reason, my brain is broken, folks. I'm a sicko. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think LJ. I don't think Muggsy. I think Tony Delk. I don't know why. Telk, Belk, Charlotte. It might be a thing that's just like a, what do they call that when you just associate words or you, I don't know what they call
sickness,
it.
Illness is what they call it, I think.
Number 1. You want to take a guess? You want to take a guess at number 1?
Oh, God. I do so badly. Okay.
I'm going to scream it. That's a hint.
Troy Daniels?
Troy!
Yes!
Daniels!
All righty.
That was the best I could do. The baby sleeping. I can't really scream.
Yeah, don't wake Gracie up.
48.1%. He almost ended his career as a Charlotte Hornet with a 50% field goal percentage from 3. Miracle after midnight, insane.
And it's appropriate because it's almost after midnight here, and we're still recording. So awesome stuff to end on Troy Daniels. We got one more segment to go coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Sicko Satchel question, Bill Simmons comment. We'll see which one wins out. Final segment, LOH. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. I'm about to catch the second half of some of these football games going on right now. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye out on your fantasy lineup, and it's quick, easy, and it's still the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Sicko Satchel question or Bill Simmons comment? What do you want to get to?
Mnemonic device was what I was looking for, Belk, Delk, which is ironic that I could not remember the word mnemonic device. Maybe I need a mnemonic device for mnemonic device so that I remember mnemonic device.
Just have a little index card with green and red, and if it's green, it means go ahead and don't say it. And have most of your index cards means don't say it. There you go. That's my advice. What are we going
Dwight from The Office recently, Rainn Wilson was on a podcast and lamented that that NBC passed on his spinoff of The Office called The Farm, which they did a backdoor pilot of in the final season, where they did a standalone episode with Dwight.
Yeah.
Goes back to his hometown and the farm, and they introduced all the characters, and then NBC passed on it, which I agree with. I think that's a great take by Rainn. I think it would have been a fantastic show. I love that backdoor pilot. I'm a big fan of late Office. Like that's an unpopular opinion. I think that some of the stuff that they did after Steve Carell left The Office was better than some of the stuff they did before. But
I don't think
people are going to
so.
agree with that take.
And no, yeah, that's sizzling. I thought the hot take was that it actually wasn't bad, which, Robert California has some great moments. My hot take is I actually don't think D'Angelo Vickers was terrible. That's my hot take. A lot of people hate Will Ferrell in that, but that's my hot take.
Okay, let's do Bill Simmons very quickly. So essentially, Bill Simmons on his podcast with Zach Lowe. I don't know if it's his podcast or if he went on the Zach Lowe podcast. Anyhow, he said that he is essentially guaranteeing that Kon Knueppel will make the 2028 Olympic team, which is in Los Angeles. So it'll be All-American.
No, so it's wild. Zach Lowe had a big reaction to it, as he should. It's a crazy shot to call that Kon Knueppel is going to be on the 2028 Olympic team. One, there's some favoritism going on here because Kon Knueppel did join Bill Simmons on his podcast pre-draft, and so I'm sure that there's a little bit of bias there. But the other thing is, he mentions Kon Knueppel being a Derrick White type of player, which I agree with to a certain extent, just being throw him into any lineup and watch him mold into whatever player you need him to be. What I don't like is Derrick White or Kon Knueppel in this instance is going to steal minutes from a star player like Derrick did to Jason Tatum, and then people are going to hate the Hornets even more, and I just don't want to hear that trash talk.
But Derrick White getting a lot of love for a potential all-star bid this season, so... And people love Derrick White. Like and this is where I don't know if he's going to make an Olympic team or not, but I think that I'll guarantee something for if you're doing VOD right now, if you're doing short form content for the Locked On Podcast Network, listen up because I'm about to give you a take. I guarantee that Kon Knueppel will be the player that your favorite podcaster loves more than any other player.
Yeah, I mean, there's a high likelihood of that happening. I like that take. Okay. Bill Simmons' comment completed. What else you got?
Oh, Sicko Satchel. Yeah. So this Sicko Satchel question comes to us from, drumroll please, it's going to be Hallie of the 12th Dwight Howard division. And this is a long one, so buckle up.
Okay.
It's a good one, though. Question for the Sicko Satchel. You guys touched on this a bit today in your discussion about defining success for Charles Lee. But I've been wondering which team in the league you guys think is the best to compare the Hornets to, or which team do you personally use to compare the Hornets to? I'm particularly interested in your individual philosophies regarding what makes teams comparable, as mainstream sports media usually goes solely off of win totals from the previous season. Is that the metric you use, or do you think more about the history of the teams, the problems they faced or are currently facing, market, conference, etc.? Or, for example, we often get compared to the Wizards or the Jazz because of win total, but most Hornets fans and people paying attention aren't expecting to tank again. So maybe it should be the Pelicans as the team stolen from Charlotte, or the Hawks, since our stars are often compared. Would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. No, great question. Long one, deep in thought, but I think I have a few answers. I go with age, market, and ways to get over the hump. Those are the three factors I look at with this question.
Pump it up.
Age just makes sense in terms of timeline. Self-explanatory there. Market, pretty self-explanatory there as well. Similar ways to try to build your team. Draft-oriented. Not going to be able to sign the monster free agents, especially if you don't have a billionaire owner, as we've come to know. And you're going to have to be savvy with some of your trades that you make. Ways to get out of the hole is the interesting one here, because I've compared the Hornets.
Wait, hold on now. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here. Are they ways to get over the hump or ways to get out of the hole?
Over the hump. Sorry.
Okay.
It's a good thing to stop me on. Ways to get over the hump. No, ways to get over the hump. So I've compared the Hornets, I think, the last couple of years to what Houston did, what Detroit needs to do, right? Where you have these younger players, and It's going out and making the big time signing that everybody kind of laughs at, but it actually works in your favor because you build your team with veterans that are making a ton of money to supplement your young talent and watch them grow up and just teach them how to be a grown-up. And I think that's something that, again, both of those franchises did. And I think the Hornets could benefit a lot from that. So it's ways to get over the hump like, oh, this team did it this way, that team did it that way. I see some of the similarities with age and market. Maybe this is the way that the Hornets can also get to a playoff series. Those are some of the ways that just I feel like I go to when I try to compare some other teams to ours.
Yeah, age is a great one, young team, veteran team. I think market, though, every year I get a little less concerned with market. Just seeing all of these different kinds of markets winning in the NBA right now and winning in different ways. Really, what's substituting market for me in comparisons is looking at the front office and the ownership group and saying, are they committed to spending? Are they committed to spending wisely? You'd love to spend wisely, but even if it's half wise, that's better than being completely frugal and just making basketball decisions based on pure dollars and cents and trying to squeeze a profit or limit losses. So I look at that for sure. And honestly, look, every team is a unique snowflake, is a unique little flower and has its own little idiosyncrasies. And I don't pretend. I mean, I was covering all of the NBA teams for Locked On NBA there for a little bit. So I would know a little bit more. I know a little bit more now than maybe I'd known in the past when I really was like, blinders on for the Charlotte Hornets. But still, like I would lean on the local podcasters to give me that kind of insider info. I just didn't, you just don't have enough time and bandwidth in a day to figure all of that out. So I think circumstances though, every team is different, but a lot of the circumstances are the same. And I go to New Orleans not because they stole the team from us, but because their circumstances are somewhat similar in that they both have stars that have been unreliable, had some off the court stuff and are unreliable because of injury. And so they're stuck in this weird, how long are we loyal? How much do we commit? Because they're both in this situation where they're looking at it and going, man, look, if everything just goes right with Zion, bam, we're in the playoffs. Same thing with the Hornets. If everything goes right with LaMelo and we continue to, now that we actually have an ownership group and everything that's serious about it, bam, we're in the playoffs. So, I kind of look at those factors as well. And look, don't blame. To me, when you're talking about power rankings or whatever, I've always said this, you have to evaluate a team based on the evidence that they've given you. You have to evaluate them based on what they've shown you. You can't the way you get in trouble is this is what I blame the national media for, is they would get on the Detroit Pistons bandwagon 5 years too early and just hammer that thing every year. And every year the Detroit Pistons would roll over into a ditch until they got Cade Cunningham and Cade Cunningham grew up. That's, so that's the danger with the Hornets is that you get on the bandwagon and then they roll over or LaMelo gets hurt. So, the Hornets have to show it. And I want them compared to the Wizards and the Jazz until they give evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. I think those are good points. Nice job. Nice question. Nice episode, especially finally getting who were at best number 3.
But you treat this like it's over, and we still have 1, 0, and 00.
I know. I've been trying to get to the next step for a month now. Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Yahoo Sports Daily. Go check it out with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll be back with you Monday.
See you.